FlossTube, this is Jordan with Stitching Espresso here for FlossTube number 3. I apologize for the delay and how long it's taken me to get my July video up. I wanted to learn how to put a video clip into another video, and since I've never done this before and I don't have a career in video editing, I didn't know how to do that. So I wanted to learn that skill so that I could make that video as best as it could possibly be. So that's why it's taken so long to get uploaded. So you're gonna have at least 2, potentially 3 videos kind of hit all at the same time. So hopefully everybody enjoys that and there's more for your viewing pleasure. Now, this video is going to be formatted slightly differently than my previous video because of some different challenges / themed stitching I wanted to do. And so because of that, trying to do it in the traditional like FFOs, finishes, whips, new starts doesn't really work for this video. So we're gonna kind of group it based on the different themes or challenges that I was doing, and hopefully everything will flow together pretty well. So hopefully that works out for this. This first one I'm gonna start with though is an FFO because it didn't really fit with any of the other things. It was kind of its own separate thing. So I did finish my gift exchange piece and fully finished it since my last video. I don't have it here with me, but I did record a video clip talking about it. So I will insert that right after I finish introducing what it is. In case I didn't mention this in that clip, I'm pretty sure I did, but this is the mushroom squirrel pattern from the Blue Flower in the 2025 Nashville Marketplace, or Nashville Needlework Marketplace cookbook. So I started that project on May 5th of this year and finished it on June 6th. And so I believe I talked about all of the changes and things that I did with like the colors and stuff, because I did make some color changes, and I think I talked about the fabric that I used during that clip. So in case I didn't and you will have questions and you want to know, let me know in the comments below and I will get that information to you. So I'm going to insert that clip here. Hi FlossTube, inserting this clip here because I just fully finished something, but it's something that I'm going to be giving away at Camp Black Needle Society here in a couple days. So I wanted to film this before I gave it away so you guys could see it in my next video. So this is my small for the gift exchange portion of the retreat. So I don't remember the exact rules about it, but there's it can't be it has to be below a certain size. And so I ended up stitching the mushroom squirrel from the Blue Flower. There we go. Cover up my face here. Just realized. I think there's a black fuzzy on there from when I was finishing it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's better. Yep, it's just down here now. I'll get that off eventually. There we go. Okay, so this is the mushroom squirrel. So this is stitched on 28 count parchment from Fiber on a Whim. And I used all of the called for DMC with the exception of the mushrooms. They were charted, I think they're charted in like 400 something. I don't remember the exact number, but I wanted red mushrooms. So I ended up stitching it with, I believe I chose 847. I should have written my conversion down, but I forgot. So I believe it's 847, and then instead of doing the brown spots that are called for, also sorry if you hear cats, my cat is not interested in what I'm doing. I did white dots instead. I'm gonna hold that here because it's closer to my camera. Just to give you that, like the classic red and white mushroom that we think of when we think of mushrooms. I know that's not usually what you find in the woods, but they are, they're what we think of when we think of mushrooms, I feel like. So that's what I went with. Everything else is the same. Sorry, my cat's gonna make an appearance probably. And then I just finished it in this cute little pillow. I was gonna do some cording around the or some twine or whatever around the outside, but I realized the twine that I have was not gonna be that much of a contrast between this pillow and like the parchment fabric, and also this is my first pillow. So I was like, you know what, he's small enough, he's cute enough, I'm nervous to overwhelm it with anything, so I'm just gonna leave it, and if the person who gets it wants to add something to it, they totally can. And then this is what I used on the back. These are, I believe this is Chelsea's checks because it's the smaller one from Stitching with the Housewives. I believe their fabric is discontinued, but I know that they're trying to get it re-released, so that's what I put on the back just to match the red and white on the front. And yeah, finished it with the machine, stuffed it. I did use Helen D, the East Coast Crafters tutorial, which was super helpful. Thank you, Helen, for filming that and putting that out there. It was very helpful for a newbie. It's super easy to follow. And she does a great job of explaining what she's doing, and tries to show you on the camera, which is really nice. Sorry, cattail. There we go. So yeah, this is my finish, or my FFO. I don't think you have not seen the finish of this, because I finished this before I actually started filming FlossTubes. So, whoop. So yeah, there's that. And hopefully whoever gets it at camp really enjoys it. All right, I'm gonna get off here before my cat makes another appearance. Okay, great. Moving on to WIPs, finishes, new starts, all coming together. First off, we're going to talk about my Jolly July / Summer and Patriotic stitching. So I talked about this a little bit in my last video, but after Frogwarts, there were like 2 weeks left in July where I didn't want to just be willy-nilly. I wanted to have some sort of theme with it, but I wasn't sure what to do because I didn't have a ton of time. And I realized I don't stitch on a lot of summer or patriotic pieces because there really isn't a ton of time for that during the year for stitching seasonally. And those are not typically pieces that I would stitch on throughout the year. So I decided to kind of combine Jolly July and summer / patriotic stitching together. So what I did was I ended up taking my Facebook Messenger group chat that I'm in, that we're doing challenge stitching with. I decided to assign both a Christmas piece and a patriotic / summer piece to everyone so that I could stitch, kind of mix it up and do both. And what I did was when someone or a specific number was called, I would just try to alternate. So the first person that was on the list, or the first number, like the number I would stitch, that I would pick Christmas, and then the next one I would do summer patriotic, the next one I would do Christmas, and so on and so forth, just to kind of mix it up and see what happens. Now, I didn't have as many, I didn't have a ton of summer / patriotic stuff started, and I also didn't have that many kitted either. So what I ended up doing was I did find some patterns that I wanted to stitch and got them fully kitted. These were things I already owned. And then it was kind of luck of the draw if they got started. And there were definitely a couple pieces that did not get started that I had listed, but the person never got called. But it was also a shorter month, so it makes sense. So that was how that was all set up, and we'll just get into the stitching now. So first thing that I stitched on was Quaker flag. My notes are down here, that's why I'm looking down. So let me get this pulled out. I tried to get all my zippers unzipped too. So this is Quaker flag. I'm gonna put this in front of my face so it'll focus. There we go. And this is on that 10 count oatmeal Aida, like I've mentioned before. And so I just kept going with the blue area around the stars. So I just kept going down here because I would like to get all of this finished. So then after that, all I have to do, or I can just focus on doing the stripes and not have to come back up and do this part. So yeah, I think I just got in a few rows on this one because I just did 100 stitches because that was all it was called for this past month. There is one more, this row here, and then there's one more underneath that, and then we're done. So yeah, so just chugging along. I have a little basket over here to throw my WIPs in, so we'll see how that goes. Next up was Summer Music, which is the first project I ever started. The one by Elsa Williams. So this is what this one looks like in case you forgot. So lots of beautiful flowers in this treble clef with ton of backstitching. You can see that there. So there's that one. And yeah, this one I only got 110 stitches in, so you're not gonna see a ton of progress just because how big this is. So I really just went in, yeah, I'll just do this and filled in more of this purple flower here. I think all of those colors are completed. So yeah, I don't think there's any more of this color in this flower. I think it's just filling in the center. And yeah, with this one, I'm doing backstitching at the end because when I started this, I was nervous that I was gonna mess it up, and also didn't 100% understand what those lines meant on the pattern. So since I haven't done it anywhere else, I'm just gonna wait and do it at the very end. That one I am stitching with the kit fabric and kit floss, because again, I was a little baby stitcher, really a baby stitcher at that point, and also this was eons ago, so like the supplies we have now, the fabric choices we have now probably didn't exist at that point. Next was my Silent Night piece by Shannon Christine, and that is what this one looks like. Maybe if I can stop touching things and zooming out on accident. There we go. So there's that. Oh, sorry for the glare. I don't have my ring light turned on today because we've been having some decent light today. It's kind of been coming in and out a little bit, but it's been pretty good. So I decided I'll just do natural light today. Also, I realized I did not tell you where I'm at. So I'm actually in our hobby room, and we called it the hobby room because my husband is very much into board games, as you can see with all the games that are on the wall behind me, and our massive calyx that we just got, or calyx, sorry, I keep pronouncing it wrong. We upgraded to a 5x5 calyx for the board games because we have enough, and we actually still have some overflow too that you can't see. And then the 4x4 that we had the board games in is now holding my cross stitch stuff next to it. And so you are currently sitting on the board game table that we have in this room to play board games on. So thought I'd switch it up, see what you guys thought. If this is too much in the background and you liked the simpler background of the dining room, let me know in the comments and I can move back in there. I just thought because there's a window here that's closer to the table compared to the dining room where the window is across from me, I thought, well, and it's farther away, and we have a porch on the front of our house that blocked most of the natural, like the direct natural light into that room. And so I thought having a window that doesn't have the porch awning over the top of it might be nice. So thought I'd give it a shot and see what we thought, and then we'll go from there. Okay, back to Shannon Christine and Silent Night. So this project is using a called for fabric, called for floss, which is all DMC, and I did 122 stitches on this one. And since this is in Pattern Keeper, I can give you percentages. So it is at 31.87%. Now that does not include the back stitching, that's upside down, because Pattern Keeper doesn't have the back stitching on there. Oh, that is a bit see-through. My notebook is not white, but we'll try it, see what happens. It might help, it might make it worse. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Okay, so on this one, I went in, I wanted to do some color completing. So I went in and did the, I was working on the colors with the letters. And so, but yeah, and then when I would finish this color with the letter, I decided to go up and do wherever else that color was. So there's going to be like some greenery up here, and then yeah, I think that was all I did. Yeah. I'm also realizing I have not been stopping to say this is where it was before. So I'll just have to put those in while I'm talking, I guess, or in transition periods. So that's all I did with this one, was just kind of the colors and then this. So Holy is done. And then I will probably work my way up in order to do Silent, just because Night and both Nights are back stitched. And so those are going to be a bit fiddly with Pattern Keeper. So I'm probably going to leave those to the end, so that I'm not having to flip back and forth between the PDF and Pattern Keeper. This is called A Merry Little Christmas by Stitching with the Housewives. Sorry, I didn't forget to pull it. That was one thing I forgot to do in my prep, was pull these things out of their plastic bags. But hopefully I can angle this in a way where you don't see the glare. There we go. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this was by Stitching with the Housewives. And I also wanted to pull this one out. I was glad this got called, because I had wanted to pull this whip out because of the fact of the news that Priscilla and Chelsea shared on one of their FlossTubes. It's probably not recent by this point that I'm filming this, but I did want to stitch on this piece in honor of Priscilla, since she's going through a hard time right now. So this is where I'm at. Angle that a little bit so the light doesn't blow out that blue. Okay. Oh, this is where it was before. I'll get used to this eventually. And this is where it is now. So sorry, I have this hanging thread over here. I'm gonna try to hold it up because it's kind of long. I wasn't sure if it was gonna get called again, so I didn't completely tuck it in. All right, I'm gonna see if I can give you a full-on view. There we go. Okay, so what I did on this one is I just kept going and filling in this big block of white, because I think when I did this, I think it was about halfway down. So I just kept, or like I was to the E, I believe, the last time. So I just kept going to put the rest in to get the M going. And I only did 100 stitches on this one. So this is one of my new starts that I pulled, and I already owned the chart. I just hadn't kitted it yet, because as you will know, once you've seen this and you've watched any of my, or you watched my whip parade, you know that I already have some of the pieces in this series started. So this is Patriotic Barn Trio by Waxing Moon Designs. Let me put that in front of my face. So growing up on a small family farm, I thought these were really cute and were a nod to my childhood / I also like stitching a series, and if I'm gonna stitch a series, I'm gonna probably stitch the whole thing. So I am using the called for floss with this, except for some moments where it calls for Weeks Dye Works. One of them I already had in my stash, so I'm using that one to use it up, and I think I have enough that I wouldn't need to worry about buying more. But otherwise, I don't like stitching with Weeks. I just find that it's too dry and it knots on me. I just don't like the feel of it, really. And so I have color converted for the rest of them now. And I think, yeah, all of the ones that I have that I'm color converting are in here. So this is called for floss minus a few, because the few that I was missing a few of them, and they are a part of the haul section. So I'll show those when I get to that point. Okay, so there's that. And I will let you know what I am converting. So what I'm using, or what I'm converting, is, it calls for gunmetal. So I am using Cinders by Color and Cotton, which is this really cool, like gray or black to gray, and it variegates pretty significantly. So I'm excited to see how that works out in this piece. And, oh, I forgot. I made one of my little cards and wrote the conversion on the back. So I should just look at that instead of having to try to guess. And then, yeah, Loden is called for, and I am using an unnamed Color and Cotton. It was one that they included in an order as like a gift. And so it's just on like their gift tag. So that's this one, this nice yellow green here. Not doing a very good job, but I'll get better at this. I probably should make myself one of those boards, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Blue Spruce, I am using Classic Colorworks. Pretty sure I wrote Blue Spruce down. That's not what I'm using. I'm using Desert Mesquite. I was not paying attention when I made that card, clearly. Another perk of making my floss tubes is I find my mistakes. But this nice like green variegated, but it's kind of a blue green. So using that for that color. And then, yeah, whitewash I'm using called for. So that's that. And I am stitching this on an unnamed, a 28 count linen. It's an unnamed tan from Bee Stitch Me. I'm pretty sure it was from a Friday night fight night, so it doesn't have a name. And this is where I got to. No before picture because this is a new start. So I just got Liber, didn't even finish off TY yet. And this is 131 stitches. So yeah, and this is that ribbon red color that's called for. And I love this red. I'm using that in a couple of I've used this in color conversions. And it's one that Priscilla likes to use for her stuff too. And it's a nice bright red that works for Patriotic and Christmas. So that was that one. Oh, and I started that on July 25th of this year. The next piece was also a new start, because again, didn't have a lot of summer / patriotic things. So And normally I wouldn't do this. I've gotten to the point where like if I have one in a series started, I try not to start anymore, just like with the Patriotic stuff, but this just worked out. So I started Summer Quaker by Primrose Cottage Stitches. There's that beautiful yellow, bright yellow motifs for summer. And there's definitely some stuff on here that I didn't necessarily notice was on here until I started looking at the pattern and stitching. I was like, oh, like I knew that was kind of a dragonfly, but because it's curved in the photo because of the way that they because of the pillow finish, it wasn't super obvious until I started stitching it. I was like, oh, that makes more sense. Okay, very cool. And you can see the back stitching in there and everything, and yeah, you can't see that as well when you're looking at the pattern because it's curved. So I also started this one on July 24th of this year, and I am switching things up with my Quakers. I am going to try to have them all use color and cotton fabric and floss if I can, just because I really like their fabric and floss, obviously, and I have quite a bit of it. And so I was gonna try to see if I could make that work for all of them. Now, of course, I'm starting with the 2 where I'm breaking that rule because I have Honeybee Quaker already started and I'm using the DMC for that. But for Summer Quaker, the yellow, I just couldn't get the yellow to work on any of my color and cotton fabrics, even my like lightest ones. It just didn't look right with any sort of dye or modeling on it. So I'm actually just stitching it on the same white piece of fabric that my Honeybee Quaker is on. But I am using color and cotton floss. So I am using Lemon Tart by Color and Cotton instead of the called for Dinky Dye floss. So it's this really bright yellow, which I really like that. And I really wanted, there was some other, which I know somebody has stitched this in Buttercup Mum, I'm pretty sure, which is, it's a deeper yellow. It's still very like punchy, but it's a deeper yellow. And I just really liked the lighter color when I got this at the store, because I bought this in person. I just really liked the lighter color. This is where I'm at. So yeah, I'm gonna angle this a little bit just so the lights don't blow it out there. So I just started, I'm always in top left sort of starter if I can. Start up here, came down, did the, what's this called? Dragonfly. There we go. And then started in on that Quaker motif there. And this really cool, I'm gonna see if I can get this where you can see it, the variegation there. How like the Lemon Tart starts out like light, but then also variegates to dark. Ooh. Okay, one downside to natural lighting, it can blow things out. So yeah, so it's lighter up here and then goes to darker down at the bottom, which is really cool. I really like that. So, all right. I think that's everything I need to tell you. Oh, and then I did 189 stitches on that. Next up is Happy Summer by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. So here's Happy Summer, and I'm doing the dog version. That cute little corgi in the middle with his hat on, that little all the camping motifs. Super cute. I am doing this one with called for DMC, but I did switch up the fabric because of the fact that I chose a blue fabric for the spring version. And so I wanted to use something other than a blue fabric for this one so that they didn't match. All right, let me grab this out of the bag real quick. There we go. So I am stitching this on 28 count linen in the color Alchemy by Picture This Plus. Okay. So still sticking with Picture This Plus since it's I didn't technically do that on purpose, but I know Frosted Pumpkin likes to put a lot of their designs on Picture This Plus. So here's where it was before while I get this piece of fabric wrangled. There we go. Okay. And this is where it is now. So, let's see here. There we go. So if I remember correctly, I decided, I just went in and did the word happy because I had finished off all of these motifs to this point. And the next step down was to do happy or to do the tent. There's some like other like sets of 4 stitches here, but I was like, I don't want to do fiddly bits right now. So I'll probably do the next time I pull this out, which I'm not sure when that will be, I will probably do those. And then I might go ahead and get started on the dog because the corgi is right here before I keep pulling motifs down. because sometimes it's nice to go do a little bit of the dog, do some motifs, do a little bit of the dog, do some motifs, just because the dogs are so big on here. They don't look that big, but then when you're stitching, they're like, oh my goodness, this is a lot. And so the final product is obviously beautiful. So we put in the work. But yeah, so I will probably, that's probably what I'll do when I pull this back out. And I did 117 stitches on this one. So you're gonna notice with a lot of these, one, I have a lot of projects to show you because with the way that my stitching group is set up, because this was right after Frogwarts, a lot of people had finishes, and finishes are only 100 stitches each. And so you end up, but if a lot of people end up doing, or getting a lot of finishes, or sorry, if a lot of people end up getting finishes, then you end up with a lot of projects. It doesn't matter the number that of projects they finish, because we only count your finishes once. So yeah, so you're gonna see a lot of my projects again today. Okie doke. Next project I work on was Christmas Wreath from Frosted Pumpkin. And that's what that will look like when it's completely done. I have both wreaths started, but this one is definitely farther along than the other one. I just tend to pull this one out more, I feel like, compared to the Halloween wreath. I don't know why, but probably because it's closer to being done. So I just want to keep going. That, and I really like the colors of this one. Not that I don't like the colors of the other one, but it's just really pretty. I included Christmas wreath, this whip, in my August plans. I'm going to go ahead and give you the stitching total for all of that now, which was 233 stitches. So this is where it was before. And here's where it is now. So I'll pull this back a little bit and then I'll get up close and personal so you can see the detail. So what I did was I think I had all the green of this clue done. I just went in and finished off, or did the peppermint. So I stitched all the white first and then went in and stitched the red to get that done. Now, I've been toying and undecided on what I'm going to do with Mrs. Claus. So I talked about this in my whip parade, but you probably won't be able to see it today because I also haven't fluffed it up in a while. But I'm using the Whisper thread. Oh yeah, let me see if I can do that. There we go. You can kind of see how fluffy that is on Santa. And I did that on his beard and also on the cuff of his hat. So I'm trying to decide if I'm also going to use the Whisper thread here for Mrs. Claus's hair. The reason why I'm like still undecided is because, one, the cuff of those Santa hats is fluffy and beards are fluffy. But the hair texture of the hair on your head is not the same hair texture as the hair on your face if you're a guy. So I don't want it to look like I'm making her hair into a beard, but I also think the idea of adding like a little bit more texture into the hair would be fun, because definitely the texture of hair is different than the texture of skin. And I also know that when your hair starts to gray, it becomes more coarse than your hair when it's its natural pigmented color. But also whenever your hair turns completely white, that tends to smooth back out. So I'm undecided. If you have any thoughts or opinions on that, let me know, because I think I'm pretty much going to stitch every other motif in that clue until I get to her, and then I'll make a decision. And if I don't use the Whisper, I would just stitch it all in the blanc that's called for. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or opinions on that, let me know. I am stitching that with called for fabric and called for floss because I purchased the kit with this one when it came out a long time ago. Okay. And two more in this one. And then yeah, for Jolly July, I have 2 more whips with this, and then we'll move on to the next thing that I did. My next whip is Immanuel, and this is by Fuzzy Fox Designs, I believe. Let me double check that. Yes, Fuzzy Fox Designs. I don't know why I can never remember that one. And this is what this will look like when it's done. Again, pardon the circles on the cover image. It's from notating for me later when I haven't stitched those motifs yet. Also, sorry, the camera just bounced. The cats are allowed to get on this table, and so, because we don't eat off of it, and so one of my cats just jumped over all of my stuff and then landed on the table, and so the table shook. Okay, so there's the pattern. So this is where it was before. And I then put in 258 stitches on this to finish out the word Immanuel. So that is completely done. This word is completely done, which is exciting because that's a lot of the bulk of the stitching. Now we've got a bunch of trees to put down here, but like that's a lot of the stitching, which is great. So just, yeah, I got the trees at the bottom to do, and then those little light effects stars to put in, which I had somebody tell me I should switch that light effects out for something else. So we'll see what I think. I've used it before, and while it wasn't the most fun, it wasn't like, oh my word, I can't stand this. So, because I could switch it out for like a petite treasure braid, but since I already have it, I'll probably just go ahead and try it, and I'll just use really short lengths so it doesn't fray on me. And yeah, and then this is called for DMC, and the fabric that this is on is that Fairy Dust Silver and Gold by Fabric Flare. There's a little selvage for you so you can see that. And this is the Ada, the 16 count Ada. Now, and I think I just got this off Etsy. All right. Okay. I also just realized I haven't really been telling you guys about my bags. I didn't want to do it during my whip parade because I have so many whips, and I was going to start doing it during my update videos, and I keep forgetting. So I'm not going to go back to the ones that I've already done, but I will try to, because a lot of the makers are the same. There are a few one-offs, but I will try to do it for the ones moving forward. Okay, last whip for the Jolly July / Summer Patriotic section is the Silent Night pattern by Country Cottage Needleworks. And yeah, this is why my notes keep becoming incorrect, because normally I have to denote in parentheses next to the title an abbreviation for the designer so I don't get them mixed up. And I had mixed those up in my planner. So that's what that one is going to look like when it's done. And I stitched 225 stitches on this one. And yeah, these I think were for this one, and the Immanuel were for people like Star Stitcher and Weekly Mission. So those were more stitches. And I think there might have been that. I think there was also some double dipping with some finishes too. So here's where it was before, if I didn't already say that. I think I did. And here's where it is now. So let me just actually do that because I'm close enough to that fold line. So there's the back up here. We'll get a little closer. So with this one, I've been filling in more of the white in the church. And then I went in and did the outline of the two windows, and then did the outline of the door. So that way I would have those landmarks to make sure I didn't overstitch with the white. And I really like, this one I am using called for floss, which is Weeks. And I think this is a call for fabric as well. Yes, it is. And I do really like the way that the white lightning variegates. So I think even if I had started this at a point where I didn't like stitching with Weeks, I probably still would have purchased this one just for that variegation, or I would have tried to find something that converted that had a very similar variegation pattern to it, because it's really pretty. So that's that one. All right, while I put this away, I'm going to try to talk about the next section. Yeah, so the next section is all of the stitching that I did at the Black Needle Society retreat, which is called Camp BNS. Or Camp Black Needle Society, which is the shirt I'm wearing. You can't really see it though, because I put my camera really close. So there's that. You'll see this again when I talk about camp in more detail, but I did quite a bit of stitching there. So we're going to go into that next. Okie doke. So first off, yes, of course, I moved that bag a long way away. Also love how I literally told you I was going to start remembering to talk about bags and then forgot. So this is a book sleeve by Love You More Studio. And this company is owned by the same ladies who run Black Needle Society. I know she hasn't made a ton of new book sleeves recently, but I'm pretty sure if you just go to loveviewmorestudio.com, I believe is their website, they have some up. Because I know they had some for sale at camp recently. I do know that she wants to try to start making sleeves more. And this is the small version because she has two different sizes, small and large. I do have a few of both, but the other ones are not super close to reach. And if I have a large that I'm going to talk about, I'll let you know. And this is a good, like, this one would probably be good, like a good small iPad. I think my Samsung tablet could probably fit in here pretty nicely. Like paperbacks, that kind of thing. And I like them for smaller projects that don't have a ton of floss with them. And I like the little smaller paper patterns fit in there. The bag sticks out a little bit, but otherwise they fit in pretty nicely. So yeah, and this one's fun because the reindeers and stuff, those gold on here is sparkly. So I think I actually have another Christmas project bag that has very similar fabric on it. Okay, back to Camp Black Needle Society stitching. I did forget to unzip the zipper, so I actually ended up starting one of the camp retreat pieces that Katie designed and gave to us as a part of the retreat. I haven't done that for the other two that I've gone to in the past just because I had other things that I wanted to try to get done or stitch during camp. But this year I didn't necessarily have any specific plans or goals with my stitching. So, and he's also like, I was really excited about this snail. So I really wanted to get him started. So this is Sherlock Snail by the Black Needle Society. Look how stinking cute he is. He's got his little Sherlock hat on, his scarf, and a pipe, and then with the houndstooth. Oh, it's so good. So stinking cute. So, and snails are a thing with the Black Needle Society. I'm pretty sure it was related to Frogwarts Year 1 and one of the snitches that was required for Quidditch. I don't know enough about the details though. So if you really want to know, I can reach out. I can have Katie and Laura explain it to me again so I can talk about it better. But I am stitching this with the called for fabric and floss because both the small, which is the snail, and then the bigger retreat project, what I will talk more about when I talk about camp at the end, they will kit them for you. And so they give you the fabric and the floss that you need. And so that's what I'm using. This year, because of the amount of floss that we needed, they ended up putting it on this cute little 221B Baker Street key. And so yeah, it's a little bit messed up because of the fact that I've been using it, but super cute and creative way to give us the floss. And then yeah, this is on 32 count One More Reproduction by Stitch Me, which is a great color. I started this on the 31st, which was the first day of camp. So 31st of July. And this is where I got to. So I got a lot done on him. I pretty much did all of the colors that had the fewest. Try this again. I decided to color complete with him. I did kind of start up here at the top and go down a little bit, but then after I got some landmarks in, I decided to color. I did the outline. That's what I did first. So I did all of this dark stitching here. And then after I got the outline in and I had places to start from, I went in and color completed. And so the only colors I have left are the two colors that have the most stitching, which are the two in the houndstooth, and then that one of those colors is the color of his body. So I could have definitely finished this at camp, but then while I was working on that, I realized there were some other projects. Well, there was one project I definitely wanted to start at camp, and so I switched over and did that. And then I realized there were some other projects I had that were really close to a finish that I could just do at camp, so that's what I decided to do. Yeah, I finally got figured out what I wanted to do after camp had already started, which had not been typical of previous years. So yeah, so like I said, that is Sherlock Snail. Oh, this is 38 by 39, so super small. And yeah, like I talked about, called for fabric, called for floss. And I think, yeah, and I actually am using the Pattern Keeper version. She gives you a paper pattern, but then when you get to the retreat, they had a QR code for us to scan, so where we could get the digital patterns for both the small, the snail, and the larger piece. So I actually did 657 stitches on that, which got me to 59.29%. So yeah, a little over halfway with that one. Okay, I'm gonna put that in a different spot because I need to bring that back out later. Okay, and this one was actually a SAF. Super excited about this. This stitched up way faster than I thought it would. So that's exciting. So this is the August monthly mini pillow from Primrose Cottage Stitches. So this is what those are gonna look like. The August one, I think, is the most fiddly of them all. It's this one right here, it's the honeybees. I think compared to all the other patterns, this one was the most confetti / fiddly. It had lots of fiddly bits on it. But it's super cute, so I'm not complaining at all. It was just, of course, of the ones that the one I chose to start was the one that was probably the most complicated / yeah, lots of movement. And so, yeah, I can't really get you a closer picture without showing you the chart, but you're going to see it finished, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, the reason I wanted that little piece of paper is because it has my start date on it, which I can find that in my notebook, so it's fine. So I started that one on August 2nd and then finished it on August 3rd. So I think had I started the day with this project, I probably could have finished it the day of, or in that same day, but I ended up starting it later in the day, so that didn't happen. So let me fold up this massive piece of fabric, because what I'm doing is I'm using the same fabric for all of them, and so I'm just gonna stitch them all. I'm stitching them all together and then I'll cut them out separately into pillows, and that's so that I can get it to fit in my Q-snap. Otherwise they'll be too small to fit any of the Q-snaps I have. So yeah, started this August 2nd, finished August 3rd. I'm using Called For DMC, and I'm stitching this on 32 count Cafe au Lait by Fiber on a Whim. And there it is, finished. Super cute. I love how the white pops on this fabric. So shout out to my husband for helping me pick this out. Which he always helps me pick out my fabric. Like, I narrow down my stash because I have a massive stash, and then he helps me with the color theory part because he's better at that than I am. But yeah, that white just looks super fantastic on there. And I feel like that color is pretty true to color if I turn it like that for the fabric. It's definitely a cooler toned brown, which is great. But yeah, and even though it's cooler toned, it still works for some of the pieces that have more warm toned things, like the fall months. So yeah, so super excited about that. And my plan with these, because it's stitched up so fast, I was like, oh, I would love to stitch one a month, but that might take me forever. But these are super quick because they're only 39 by 39. And so just like basically the same size as the snail. And so they go super fast. And even though they're 39 by 39 and so comparable space, they're not as many stitches because they're not as full coverage as the snail is. And so my hope is to just do one a month. So I'll start September's in September. And with Memorial Day being the first day of September, I might just knock it out on Memorial Day. Sorry, Labor Day. I did that earlier this week too, and I know the difference. And I know which holidays when. I just keep saying the wrong day. So my hope is to do that on Labor Day, but we'll see. Okay, and then I had another finish, which was super exciting. I have just been loving this piece, so I'm really excited that it's now done and I can fully finish it for Christmas. So this is Prince of Peace by Erica Michaels. That's what the pattern looks like, although I don't necessarily need to show you the pattern since you're about to see it fully finished. Okay, yeah, I didn't take these out of the plastic, but the glare hasn't been too bad. Okay, so there's that. Here's where it was before. And here it is finished. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, let me fold this behind. There we go. So pretty. Love these colors together. It's just fantastic. Oh, so excited. So all I had left to do when I picked this up was I needed to finish this gold, the golden purple border here, and then finish this gold, or do this border down here. So that's what I did. I did all the gold. Yeah, and I just did this border and then went down and did this, that border. So, but yeah, it's done. I'm super excited and I can go fully finish this at some point for Christmas. This, I am using, or I did this on fabric because it's called for to do it on silk gauze, and I was not confident I would do that well, / I didn't really want to stitch all of the background because you have to stitch all of the background on silk gauze. And I think this might have been my very first project on 40 count fabric, and so I just decided to use fabric. And then I did my own color conversion with the floss. So this is on 40 count Parthenon by Color and Cotton, which is this really nice, like, creamy white color. I think that's, yeah, that's pretty close to true. And then I did, yeah, the color conversion I did, the purple is Nina's Poison. Nina is the dyer of the fabric, or the floss. I don't know how you get a hold of that. I got it from a D-Stash page a long time ago. I feel like at one point I did find her on Etsy, maybe, but I'm not confident in that. And then the yellow I used is Color and Cotton Daffodil, and the white I used is Color and Cotton Hayride, which I believe Hayride might be a limited edition. Sorry, I put the floss away. I put that one away a long time ago or a while ago, because I finished that color, and so I unkitted it so I could potentially have it for something else. So, yeah, so that one might be a limited edition, so that one might not be available, but Daffodil I'm pretty sure is in their main line, so you should be fine. So yeah, I started that on January 8th of 2022 and finished it August 3rd of 2025. So, oh gosh. So yeah, a little 3 years and 8 months as a whip. So yeah. Oh, and this is, oh dang it, a Love You More book sleeve. And this is the larger version. So you can compare small versus large. So yeah, just a little bit taller and a little bit wider. And my iPad, which I think is just a standard sized iPad, would definitely fit in here. Yeah, with a little bit extra wiggle room. So yeah, so there's that. I don't think I have any more of those bags, so I'm actually gonna pull this bag back out. So this is nope, I was about to say the wrong thing. So yeah, So Much to Love bag. I was in her bag of the month club for a year. I don't think she's not doing that anymore. But I was in this club for a year after seeing her bags on Pam and Steph, and really like Pam and Steph channel, Just Keep Stitching, and really liked them. So I have, and then I bought some extras outside of that club. So I have quite a few of her bags, and I love them, because the other thing was when I was a part of that club, oh yeah, I also set it up where I would get the little mini bag to go inside, and a lot of this, I'm not currently using it with this project, but a lot of times I will put the floss that I'm using for that project in here, which is really nice because it can help your floss to not get so messed up and like it doesn't get so disorganized. So, okay. So with that one, I did 395 stitches on Prince of Peace in order to finish it. Okay, I did have a third finish at camp, but it is secret stitching, so I won't show that here on the channel until I've fully finished those or fully finished that one, and it's a part of a group of things that I'm giving to some different people. And once I've gifted those, I will include a video about them. For August, I know people have done arbitrary August in the past, where you just kind of decide what you're going to stitch and there's no rules and you can just do whatever you want. And so this is kind of sort of that, but also the majority of the stitching is the Abandoned Sal, which is hosted by Kenny Stitches on Instagram, where basically you go through your whips, find all of your projects that were Sal's at one point but have since finished, but you haven't finished the project yet, and get those out and dedicate this month to stitching on those. And I believe the hashtag is #AbandonedSal. So yeah, and then tag Kenny from Kenny Stitches in your post if you're gonna join in, because that way he can see it since hashtags are broken on Instagram. The first project I did, oh, hold on, before I get into that. So what I did with this, since I'm doing Abandoned Sal and Arbitrary August, is the group that I'm in the Facebook Messenger group I'm in, I assigned all of my abandoned or my incomplete with Sal's to a person. And then I actually think I had 2 people, maybe 3. I think I had 3 people that I didn't have a whip, or I didn't have a Sal that would work or I didn't have any left for them. Because I have a lot, but I didn't have that many. And so I ended up just assigning a random project. I think for 2 of them, I spun my random decisions wheel. And then one of them, there was a project I really wanted to pull out. So I pulled that out. Because, yeah, I just was like, you know what? I really want to do this one. So I'm going to do it. All right. So now we can move on. The first one that I worked on was also a secret stitch, a part of that same group that I just mentioned, where all of them are going to get gifted to their respective people around Christmas time, probably. I worked on that at my stitching at the library group that we meet on Thursdays, which I'm sad because I'm going to be doing church choir, and our rehearsals are on Thursdays, and so I won't be able to meet with them until after Christmas is over. So it's not until January or whenever, if it restarts after the holidays. So that's what I stitched on there, just to get some more progress in on it. And I think I'd already finished all of my challenge stitching for the week, so I just decided to pull that one out. And I wanted to give a shout out to Erin Park. She reached out to me through the comments of my whip parade, saying she was in the area and wanted to join a stitching group and wanted to know if I knew of any or was a part of any. And she actually lives really close to the library we meet at, so she came, which was super exciting. So super excited to meet you, and glad you met some of the ladies so that you're not going to feel abandoned when I don't show up again until January, which don't worry, she's already aware that I'm not going to be back. So, but yeah, and we've actually had quite a few other ladies join that group who haven't been able to come yet. So I'm excited to meet them hopefully in January when I'm able to, or February, whenever we restart, when I come back. So got distracted by butterflies out the window, pardon me. So the first thing I stitched on, or sorry, second thing, because the other one was secret stitching, was my Bats and Booze Sal, which this was, I'm gonna try to turn my brightness down because you're not really seeing that one very well. This is from the Fat Quarter Shop. I'm pretty sure this was from like 2021. Yeah, this was from 2021. Let me get my face out of the way. So that's what it's gonna look like when it's completely done. So yeah, so this is definitely an old Sal that I still don't have finished. And here's where it was before. And here is where it is now. So I did, I had to rewrite my number down because I realized 289 stitches on this one because I realized I did my math wrong. And I basically finished off, if I remember correctly, I finished off this pumpkin down here and then started and finished this bat. So all I have left for this section is to do, because these are technically the pumpkins and the bats were 2 different clues, but I'm just kind of stitching them together because it's just forming a circle. So I'm going to finish, I have the white stuff to do here, and then I have the pumpkin to do here, and then the next clue is the quilt motif that's in the middle. Also, you guys can weigh in on this too. I really like the way this looks like this. And I know the booze part of the Sal comes in with the border, which has the ghosts around the outside. Let me pull the pattern back up. Like these little, oh gosh. These little ghosts right there. It's like those are your ghosts, and that's the booze part. But it's not that I don't like it. The border's not really that striking to me. And the ghosts, it's not like a full-bodied ghost. It's just like the head and like some hands. So for me, I just like the way that this looks. So I think I'm just going to leave it as bats and pumpkins with the quilting motif in the middle and call it good. If you have thoughts, one way or the other, let me know. So, cause yeah, I think that's where my heart is leaning at this point. Now, when I put the quilt motif in the middle, if I decide, oh yeah, that's not going to work, then I can change it. Cause I know that border it does, it potentially will help with the white stitches popping, but I kind of like that you have like this bold, the bolder quilting motif in the middle, and then the colors kind of lighten as you go out from that center. So I think I'm going to leave that outer border off, but we'll see. And that one I am stitching on 28 count linen Icelandic gray by Witchelt. I'm pretty confident that's what it is. And then I am doing my own color conversion for the flosses, because it calls for, yeah, it calls for Weeks Dye Works, and at this point I knew that I didn't like stitching with Weeks Dye Works, so I had a bunch of Forbidden by Rico, so I just pulled my own. So that's what that looks like. Yeah, and these, I love these colors. These colors work really well for the sow. Very excited. And I have that in the Bats and Booze project bag that they designed for the sow. Sorry, I realized that might have been close enough to the camera that you couldn't see everything. So, and it's a nice canvas bag, which I don't feel like you see a lot of canvas bags for project bags, and I like it. It's nice. Okay. Moving on. These are in the wrong order. Sorry. Okay. Next up is Frogwarts Year 6, which this is kind of more of that arbitrary August thing. Those 3 whips that I just decided to throw on there because that's what the wheel told me / what I wanted to stitch on. So, wasn't sick of this project yet after stitching on it so much in July. But that's what that looks like. And here's where it was before. And here, well, let's try that again. Hold on. I thought I was more ready. Here's where it is now. Oh, and I still didn't fold that well. Okay, we'll just do this. Yeah, here's where it is now. Apologies for the hanging threads. I should have gone in and finished off my hanging threads that were already on here, but did I do that? No. I wanted to start color completing because that's what I like doing in Pattern Keeper because it's very satisfying to get that 0. And I have quite a few that are close. Now, some of them that are close are things that are related to the potion bottles, which I think I talked about this in my last video, but I am considering, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to wait until I get the Frogwarts Year 7 box. I will look at all of the flosses that are identified as like actual Birdie Bots flavors. I will look through those and use those for the jelly beans, and then whatever's left over, or I mean, I'm gonna have extras, but I will also look through those colors and see if there are colors that I like for the potion bottles, except for Felix Felicis. I will do this one as called for because it's the étoiles. But these other little potion bottles, I will see if I can pull a color that is similar to what's called for, and just do like a variegated floss instead of, and switch it and making it a little bit different instead of how it's called for. Since it's kind of that repeating motif, and yeah, just switch it up a little bit. We'll see. So what I did this time is I went in and got Secta Sempra done because the stitches I want to get to are the Black Raspberry Jam that are up here in the Potions textbook. So I got that done. It's not showing up super great right now, but yeah, I don't even know if I can get, oh, you can kind of see it. But my skein of current is fairly variegated. Like, so you have some darker bits and then some lighter, like brighter reds, which is fun. And then I just did this little line of chocolate cream pie to start the potion book so that I can get to the Black Raspberry Jam stitches. So that's what I did on this one, which it was a total of 294 stitches, which puts me at 40.01% done. And that is including the over one at the bottom. It's not including the eyelets though, but there isn't any back stitch. So it's a fairly accurate because Pattern Keeper has since updated their software, and so it counts over one stitches correctly. And so that's a fairly accurate stitch count because I'm pretty sure there's only one eyelet stitch at either end because of how long the quote is. So I am nearly to my goal of 50%. It's a secondary goal, but I would like to get all of these to about 50% by the end of the year so that I only have half of it left for next year, so I can hopefully get them all finished by year 8, which is the in-person retreat. And some of them are like nowhere close to 50%, so I didn't want to overwhelm myself by trying to get too far. Plus I already have, and I have, well, Frogwarts Year 2 I've already finished. So that helps with that. All right, next up is the Halloween wreath sal. So yeah, I have both wreaths from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery that I haven't done, or haven't completed yet. This is what that one looks like. Here we go. Sorry, I feel like my pen is about to fall. So yeah, so there's that one. No, I have not started the bow yet. Yep, I knew it. On this one, fortunately, they did the clues a little bit differently with this one, so I haven't gotten to that part yet. So this is where it was before. And this is where it is now. So clue 1 is completely done, which was the house, the haunted house there. And then I went over all of the stitches I did for this time were in the clue 2. So I was trying to go in and do all of the gray, kind of like how I'm, oh geez, how do I want to fold this? Kind of how I was doing the green, or how I am doing the green on the Christmas wreath style. And so, but there's not actually a ton of gray in this clue. There's a lot of big motifs, because this clue, let me pull this back up, is it doesn't include the bow. It goes down and does the cat, this potion bottle, that orange candy or orange bat, and then this candy here. So it doesn't include the girl. But yeah, so like with all those massive motifs, there's not a ton of gray. Which now that I'm looking at it again, I feel like there's not as much of the background gray in this as there is of the background green in the Christmas wreath one. So I went in and did quite a bit of it. The other thing too is, as I was doing it, I realized only one of the called for grays in this gray here was included in clue 1, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just like the gray around the door, like this part here. And so I was not really necessarily in the mood to have to go in and bobbinate the DMC, like other greens, or the other grays. So I just did the gray that I had already bobbinated, and then I went in and I was close to being done with the stitches I needed to do, and so I went in and did the orange witch hat that's on the cat. So that was 121 stitches. And this one is on the called for fabric, which is pewter by Picture This Plus, and I'm doing all the called for flosses because I got the kit with this one too. So, oh, that's right. I was like, how do I fold this one now? But don't fold it that way, because then I have to fold the stitches, which I don't want to do. And this is in a Thriller project bag that was in one of the no, it's in the Halloween one, but I can't, the trick or treat box. I was like, what do they call this one? The Halloween boxes from the Black Needle Society, and it's that same, like, we jokingly call it the restaurant booth material that a lot of their big bags are, and it's the quote from Thriller. I do not remember which year this was, and I don't know if they still have, I don't think they have this in the vault anymore. But if they do, it would just be at theblackneedlesociety.com. Okay. Next was Happy Fall, Y'all by Sweet Wing Studio. This is one that this is one of the product that I was like, I just want to stitch on this. So this was a part of the Autumn Garden series from 2022 at Nashville Needlework Market. Yeah, Needlework Market, Marketplace, which would, and this palette is all Cottage Garden threads. So I'm stitching it with the called for threads. So I was just like, yeah, you know what? I want to stitch on this, so I'm going to. So this is where it was before. And this is where it is now. Yeah, this one's small enough. I can get it close to the camera. So what I did was I already had all the borders finished. So I just went in and used the yellow, which I want to say is dandelion. And and did the HA, and then I started on the P and Happy. And look at that variegation. Like Cottage Garden does a great job with their variegation. And I try to be, I don't fussy cut anything, but I do try to be like cognizant of how my floss is gonna lay, especially like when I'm doing letters, or also when I'm doing, yeah, like if I want if I want to try to make it not look like a stark change when I go from one strand to another. And when I stitched this, I was a little bit nervous about how light this was gonna get, how that was gonna make my H look, but actually my next strand worked out because the way that I did this, I started up here and went across and went down, just because that's how, because I started up here and then I wanted all of this to be the same color. And then went down this way, and then the piece of floss that I picked up next actually was really nice. Because I think I did this band, cut it off, started up again, and then went into the A, and then it just variegated nicely to where those kind of lined up. So yeah, I really like the way that looks. And this is on, I believe it's 32 count. There we go. I was like, where's my card? Yeah, 32 count linen, Return of Regency by Seraphim. And the light is blowing, you can kind of see it, the light's blowing it out a little bit, but it's this like grayish tan white color with some green undertones. You can see the green more there. But yeah, it's definitely more of like a brownie white. But it's more cool toned. So yeah, like I don't want to say it's white because it's not white, but it's definitely a lighter neutral. Here we go. Let me just pull it out. That's upside down. Just pull it back here for you so you can see what I'm talking about. But it's a very pretty color. I will and I bought, this is just a fat eighth because I wanted to try out some different fabrics when I was buying some stuff from Hobby House a while ago. And so I was like, this is an interesting looking color. I was not expecting it to be quite so green undertoned, but it actually works out perfectly for that project because of the different flosses. But yeah, I pulled those out during my whip parade. And this bag is a Black Cat Stitchery bag. She has an Etsy shop. I might have also purchased this at the Steel City Stitchers retreat when I went, at their first retreat when I went. I really like her vinyl front project bags. I like the vinyl that she uses. It's thicker, a little bit more sturdy. I don't feel like it dents as much as some of the other vinyls that are more flimsy. And I like the size of these bags, and they're just constructed really well. And this is that cute like fall Teresa Kogut fabric. So I have lots of, I also like that she includes this little black cat charm at the top. But I really like her bags. So you'll see them a lot. No, this is not. Okay. All right, so there's that one. Two more in this section of things here. So my next project, let me pull this plastic bag out really quick because I have it in the original bag that it was in, the fabric in the bag that it was in. This is the Sugar Plums Sweet Shop, which is the first house in the Nutcracker Village Sal. And I know, and I'm pretty sure good grief, the Fat Quarter Shop hosted a Sal when this project came out, and I'm sure some other people have too. But I'm pretty sure that was the one that was the Sal that I initially started this for. So let me put that in front of my face so it focuses. There we go. So yeah, so pulled this out for that. Here's where it was before while I open this plastic bag here and pull this out. And here is where it is now. Oh, I can't pull that one more time. Oh, maybe. There we go. There we go. Okay. There's where it is now. So what I did was I basically just came in. I was going to try to color complete some more, but I decided, nope, let's just keep going with this purple because I'm pretty sure I had a hanging thread when I picked this back up. So I just kept going with the purple fill-in of the house, or of the shop, pardon me. So got more of that filled in. And I think that was pretty much it. Because I only did 180, or I did 181 stitches on this one. So, yep, I just did more of the fill-in. And this one, yeah, you might see this one again. And so what I'll probably do is I'll finish filling in the purple because I have these little like random spots where I ran out of thread. So I'll finish filling that in. And then I'll probably go in and do some fiddly bits on the door so I can just fill in the door. Because I think there might be, oh, actually, I lied. I just realized there's none of these doors have handles on them. So yeah, it's just actually pure purple, or pure blue. So pure blue. Let's try that again. So I'll either fill that in, or there are some like small bits of color here. And that was part of the reason why I didn't want to color complete, is I would have to do like 5 or 6 stitches like here and here. And I was like, I'll just keep filling in the house. So I might go and do those first and then go to the door. We'll see. Just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. And this one, I am using the called for fabric, which I believe is, yeah, it's the raw by Zweigart that has the silver thread in it. And I am using the called for floss, which is Classic Colorworks and DMC. And the last project for the Abandoned Sal / Arbitrary August Stitching is Flea Market Flowers, which is by Lori Holt of Be In My Bonnet Co. So that is what that pattern will look like. Definitely need to show you all of this because I don't have very much done on this one. But I love these colors. They're very springy, which is my favorite season, which I may have mentioned in my in a previous video. So here's where it was before. Gotta unfold this a little bit. There we go. Let's just do this. And here's where it is now. There we go. So what I did on this one, this flower was already completely done. I went in and did the stitching on this box, which I double and triple counted because I was like, I don't want to do this wrong. And then I put in the stem and then this leaf for a total of 181 stitches. So I'm excited to finally have moved on from this first box, because this first box took me forever to get done. Just because I don't pull this project out a ton. So, and I also know it's going to be a long-term project because of how big it is. This is on the called for fabric, which is 25 count barley. There we go. Lugana it's Lori Holt's fabric line, which I believe she calls vintage cloth. Fat Quarter Shop sells it. And then I'm using the called for DMC because it's just so stinking pretty that I wanted those colors. And it's so big too. I wasn't about to convert that to fancy floss. Also, I really wasn't converting things at this point in my stitching career when I started this, because this was early 2022. So I would have been a little over a year in, but I really didn't start getting I didn't have the stash really for color conversions until the past year or two. So, and this is in a Goose Designs bag. She sells her bags on Etsy. And this is Lori Holt's line, I'm pretty sure, which is why I bought it. One, I thought it was pretty, but also it makes sense to have Lori Holt's product in a Lori Holt bag. And yeah, this is the inside fabric. So, very cute. Okay. Last whip of this video. Are you excited? It's like almost like a mini whip parade because of how many things I stitched on. Y'all, I finally got this project out. So, before I move on, I gotta explain. I heard about this next thing from Stitchin' Mommy, Sarah of Stitchin' Mommy, but she mentioned someone else who actually like started it, but I do not remember that person's name, their social media stuff. I couldn't find it. I tried to go back to the video where she mentioned it, and I did use her timestamps, but I couldn't find it in the spots that made sense, and I didn't have the time to rewatch the whole video. So if she mentions it, when she mentions it in her next video when I watch it, because I know she's had some more out since I've last watched, I will remember to write that person's name down so I can give them proper credit. So the next challenge thing that I'm going to talk about is called Gridiron Grind. So if you are familiar with football at all, we call the football field the gridiron. Or that's a slang term for it. And so this is all football based. I am a Chiefs fan, not just because I live in Kansas City, but I actually grew up a Chiefs fan because my dad's a Chiefs fan. And it's also not because they've been doing well the past few years. I've been a fan since my child, like since I was a kid. So the number of stitches that you do is based on the number of points that your team scores during a game, and the number of stitches per point changes depending on what part of the season we're in. So for preseason, you're going to do 5 stitches per point. Regular season games are going to be 10 stitches per point. If the Chiefs make it to the postseason, then I'll do 15 stitches per point. And if we make it to the Super Bowl, then I'll do 20 stitches per point for the Super Bowl. And preseason started last Saturday, the 9th. I'm pretty sure was our game. So I also don't think I told you at the beginning of this video, I am filming on August 13th. So just a few days ago. And so I have decided that because this is going to be a thing where I'm going to get consistent progress on a project, because the football season, if we make it to the Super Bowl, that will go until end of February, middle to end of February. If we just do regular season, that's at least going to get us into through the fall, through the holidays. So, so it's going to be a bit, and it's a game a week. So that's decent progress on a project. So I decided to pull out my Harry Potter Stitch Your Own Adventure by Cunning Cross Stitch. I don't have a cover photo of this one because it's a Stitch Your Own Adventure, so everybody's looks different. And I'm pretty sure, and because of that, none of the patterns that we got, none of the cover photos for the patterns included a mock-up. So you'll just have to see how this develops as we do it. So I've picked that one out, which I'm excited about because I don't think I stitched on this one at all last year, and I haven't pulled it out yet this year. So it's been sitting for a while. Part of the reason for that is, and I think I mentioned this in my whip parade, is I discovered that I miscounted when I placed my wand, because he gives you a landmark to start your wand at, and then he gives there's 2 different halves, because one of your first choices is rolling a dice to decide what one side and what the back, the front and the back of your wand are going to look like. And so when I counted it in, I miscounted, so I'm off by 1. And so I think part of me was like, I don't want to have to deal with figuring out the cute or the pretty, he has these little curly cues that are on there that are in the house colors, and those line up with your wand. And since mine is off, I'm going to have to finagle that a little bit. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that. And then I pulled it out and realized I'm not even close to that part yet, so it doesn't matter. I have a bit to go before I get to that. So I did, we scored 17 points during our preseason game. We didn't win, but we also didn't have our starters in for very long, so I wasn't worried about it. So because of that, I did, actually ended up doing 100 stitches total, because it should have been 85, because 17 times 5 is 85. But I was close enough to finishing the stitching and the cross stitches in the wand that I was like, I'm just going to finish them. So that's what I did. Here's where it was before. And here's where it is now. This fabric's actually thin enough I can see through it and see the video. All right. So all I did was I finished off the wand. So I know it looks really boring right now, but I actually got the rolls that I got were the 2 ends that they complemented each other. And there's a bunch of back stitching that I need to do to put a bunch of it's some floral and curly Q details on there. So I will do those probably. I don't know. I might wait. I think I might wait to do those until I finish the colors, the house color detail, and then I'll go back in. Just so that I know I have plenty of anchor points for this, but also that's going to take a lot of concentration. And I wasn't stitching this during the football game, this past game, just because I was doing other things. But if I happen to decide that I want to stitch on this, because I do like to watch football and cross stitch at the same time. If I happen to pull this out and I'm just going to put in my stitches as I'm watching, that's not a part of it that I'm going to want to work on, just because it's going to require too much concentration. So we'll see. I will put that in at some point. So yeah, that is all of the stitching I have done which I know was a lot. And yeah, definitely gonna split this and my camp Black Needle Society into 2 different videos because of how long this is gonna be by the time we're done. Just because of the number of projects I showed you. But next, oh, before I move on, I already talked about these pieces because they fit in with other things, but I did not specifically mention this hashtag. One of the things that I did for this hashtag was secret stitching, but the other project that I worked on for this was Frogwarts Year 6, was the countdown to Year 7 Sal, hosted by my friend Sarah at the Redneck Bifocal Stitcher. Who needs to put out another video? So I think the calls for that one were something with a flower. I posted about both of them on Instagram. And then the other one was something with the color pink. Is that right? I feel like that's wrong, but I know the pink one is right. I feel like the flower one might be wrong. But it's on Instagram. So you go check out my Instagram, which is Stitching Espresso, and you can see which one was actually called. But this one is a sal for those who've participated. I mean, anybody can join in, but it was started as those of us who participate in Frogwarts were counting down from one year to the next. And so we're counting down from Year 6 to Year 7. And what we're doing is we're using the Decree cross stitch challenge prompt cards, the deck that the Black Needle Society released, or was included as part of the Year 5 box. There we go. That's how I should say that. And each week on Wednesday, if you have your own deck, you can pull your own card. If you don't have a deck and you want to participate, you can wait until Sarah posts hers. And then you see what the prompt is. You pull a project for the prompt that fits and stitch on it. There's no rules as to how much you have to stitch on it. You can make that up yourself. Or if you don't have a project that fits, you can take what are called penalty stitches. So you stitch on something else, and then you can decide like what your penalty is. Like, are you going to do twice as many stitches? Are you going to do the same amount? Like, you can decide what you're going to do with that. So for me, I switch on the same project every night when I'm watching TV with my husband. And so what I do on Wednesdays is I just switch out that project for the prompt project. So I did that because we had, those are the 2 projects that I stitched on between my last video and today. And I'm going to try to really keep up and keep posting on Instagram with that one. Today is Wednesday. I've already pulled my card. It's the one that you stitch on a project with an owl. So I will pull out Year 1 because I need to make some progress on that one. I think I'm only at like 25, maybe 30% on that one. So I've got a bit to get done if I'm going to try to get to 30%. Okay. Now done with talking about all the stitching I've done. Next is going to be stash acquisition. This is stash that's not from camp. So that's going to be a separate video because this video is already an hour and a half and I still have more to talk about. And so I have more stash, but I will talk about that specifically during my camp video. So the only thing I have gotten, because I was saving money for camp, I was being a good girl, saving up my pennies, was I am a part of the auto ship program for the A Year in the Woods Part 2 from Cottage Garden Samplings. I am in the auto ship program from Top Knot Stitcher, which is Abby out in California. I love her shop. It's great. And she has great customer service. And I initially had an issue with this because when she went to invoice me the first time, I thought I had updated my information on her website, but somehow it hadn't updated, and so she had my old address. I emailed her, told her, hey, I updated on your website, and she sent me a new invoice. It was super easy, super responsive, which is great. And so the second one is the Sugar Glider. Oh my goodness, so cute. And I don't have any, I have chocolate cream pie, but it's all occupied with other projects. So I did have her go ahead and purchase a skein of chocolate cream pie to put with this project. And when I stitch this, which is what I've done with the other ones, I will convert the Weeks Dye Works that she calls for as the other fancy floss in this one to something else. I am nowhere close to starting these. Like, I don't even have fabric purchased for these because I haven't even finished. I just started the reindeer for Part 1, and I haven't touched that one since I started it. So and I'm going to focus on finishing those before I worry about kitting this up. So I am going to try to, if I need the Classic Colorworks floss because I don't have it in my stash, I will go ahead and buy that from Abby. But otherwise, I'm just going to, that's all I'm going to worry about kitting at this point. So that's all we got for stash acquisition. Next up is plans. So few different things that I have that I'm thinking about for September. So I am going to finish, like I'm going to continue with the Abandoned Sal, and Arbitrary August and my Facebook Messenger group stitching. So that will all continue to happen throughout the rest of August. For September, there's a few different things that I am planning on doing. One, I'm going to continue with the gridiron stitching because that will go through September, obviously, with football season. And then there are two different challenges that I like to participate in September. One is AB Singo, hosted by Carolyn of Caesar Stitch and Robin. I forget Robin's FlossTube name. Sorry. But they are, or sorry, I don't actually remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Robin has a FlossTube, but they co-manage the Magazine Monthly Challenge group on Facebook. And so I plan on doing that, and we'll talk about that, what that is here in just a second. And whenever Netflix puts or starts to release the Great British Baking Show season for this year, I will participate in that. I will talk more about how that is set up later once Jessie Marie has put up stuff about it. AB Singo has been released though, so I will go through that with you. Now, in the past, they've only included, it's only been a 5x5 bingo board, and you put 20, or one of the letters of the alphabet gets excluded, and then you put the rest of the letters randomly on your board, and then they would call a letter every day, and you would stitch 100 stitches on that project. And if you can win prizes if you post on the Facebook group and if you get bingos. I'm not gonna worry about doing posting. I realize I like participating in challenges, but I hate having to post them on social media outside of like Frogwarts. It's really the only one I enjoy doing. So I'm just gonna do it, but not necessarily participate on the on the Facebook page. But they're changing it up this year. So with Springo, if you participated in that, I have not talked about that on this channel because I didn't start doing my FlossTube until afterwards. They did a 7x5 board or bingo board because Springo was 7 letters. I was double checking I could count correctly. So they did 7x5, and then you did I'm pretty sure it was numbers. So you just picked like a number 1 through 35, and then you randomized those and put those on your board. So they're doing something very similar for AB Singo, which I'm gonna hold these up. They're not filled in yet, but so this is what the board looks like from the Facebook page. And these are printed and cut to size to fit in my Happy Planner. I just can't find my I would have hole punched them and put them in my Happy Planner before this video, but I can't find my hole punch. I don't know what I did with it. It's around here somewhere, but the hole punch that's specifically for the Happy Planner is, we've reorganized this room and I have misplaced it in that reorganization, but I'll find it. So yeah, so this is what the board looks like. And part of the reason why it's not filled out is I've tried to fill this out like twice and then changed my mind and said I didn't like what the projects I had picked. So we'll get into that in a minute. So that's the board. And then they also have a planning sheet for you to use to help like organize your projects. So since it's 35 squares and we have more than 35 letters in the alphabet, well, one, you get to include all of the letters of the alphabet because of the fact that there are like only 26 letters in the alphabet. But then to fill in the rest of it, we're doing numbers. Now those numbers correspond to motifs. So if a number gets called, then you have to stitch that many motifs on whatever project you assign to it. So you kind of have to be smart with what projects you assign, like make sure it's a project that actually has motifs on it. And you also don't pick one that has big motifs and put it for like your number 9. So you end up stitching these huge motifs 9 times. So, and the reason it's called AB Singo is because September is kind of the back to school time. So alphabet is associated with school because you learn your alphabet at school, that kind of thing. A lot of school decorations are alphabet related, so that's why. So my thought, yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth on what I wanted to do with this. At one point I was like spinning my random decision or tiny decisions wheel and trying to assign whatever project was picked to as many things as possible and then pick something else when I ran out of options so that I wasn't having to switch all the time. Because that's another thing with this is I am going to be going on vacation in September with my my side, my mom, dad, sister, brother-in-law, and my husband, and my niece and nephew. And so I didn't want to either one get behind, which you do have some time to make it up at the end because they only call numbers. Because that's the other thing. I think she's only calling 25 numbers. So yeah, so that the last 5 days of September, you have time to catch up if you miss some days. So I didn't want to like potentially have a bunch of stuff called that I didn't take the projects for and then have to catch up. But I also didn't want to feel obligated to take all of the projects I had assigned. And so like most of my suitcase is cross-stitch projects, which we fortunately are driving, so I would have more space. But like I'm also going to be on vacation. Like I'm going to be stitching because these are definitely more chill vacations, but I'm not going to be stitching a ton. So like I don't need to bring like 20 projects with me. So what I have currently decided is that I'm going to pull out projects that I haven't stitched on yet this year that are on my whip list, which I have a few. Sorry, I'm trying to reach my planner here. So I think when I wrote these down, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 projects that I haven't stitched on yet this year. And quite a few of them do have motifs on there, so I should be okay there. Now that obviously does not divide easily into 35, but also I have to go through and figure out which ones are going to meet what letters. And I haven't even looked to see if all of those are going to meet the letters and you can get creative with it. Like you can, if there's a motif or if a project gives off a certain vibe that matches a letter, it's especially because I'm not participating officially. So I think if I can make it work in my head as a connection, then we're going to go with it. But so I need to go through and get those all, assigned and figure out if I need to pull any other projects in for it, but I got some time. So that's my thoughts with that. I'll update you on that in my next video. So we talked about Great British Baking Show plans. And then the other thing is Alana of Mrs. Smith Stitches on YouTube is going to be starting an Autumn Lane piece on September. I believe she's starting it on her birthday, which is September 8th. And I also have a September birthday. I'm September 17th. And so I was like, hey, I have an Autumn Lane kitted that I've wanted to start for a while. It's very fitting for the name of my channel. So it'd be a good piece to start. And also I like it, obviously. And that way I could have a birthday start that's associated with somebody else. It's not the Autumn Lane that she's starting. I forgot which one she's starting. But that way I can kind of have a birthday start along with her. But not have it like it'd be an official birthday start since I still am nowhere close to finishing Winter Snowfall by Shannon Christine. So I am gonna start Autumn Lane's Falling Leaves and Coffee Please, which this is what it's gonna look like when it's done. This is, I believe, yeah, this is just a mock-up of the stitching. So, but yeah, it's super cute, like very pretty fall piece that's also coffee related, which is great. And I have this kitted with the called for Be Stitch Me silks. Stitch Me did like a coffee themed box, and then I didn't buy the box, but I think she had the floss available on her website, and then these smaller cuts. Yeah, it's a fat eighth, or it might actually just be an eighth of a yard of fabric that were all like coffee themed. And so macchiato, which is the called for fabric, which is this one. Yeah, that's pretty true to color. It might be showing up a little bit more yellow on screen. Here, let me see if this will work. Yeah, that's better. That's what that looks like. Just a pretty cream brown color. And so I bought that, and I bought them in 40 count. And so I'm going to stitch it on this because it's the right color. But instead of doing 2/2, I'll just do 1/2. And then these are the called for Be Stitch Me flosses. And then when I bought that, I also bought the floss, I'm pretty sure. I kitted this up a long time ago, so I don't remember all the details. But there we go. So just all these really beautiful browns, this pop of orange, and then these lighter colors. And Be Stitch Me silks are so much, they're so soft and lovely to work with. And these are 10-yard skeins, so I should have plenty left over when I'm done to stitch on something else. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be starting. That's one plan to start in September. and then like I mentioned before, I'll do the September monthly pillow. The September one is this one here. So I'm going to start that one in September and hopefully get that started and finished. So yeah. So those are my plans for end of August into September, until I see you next time. So life updates. I think I've mentioned this before. So my husband and I did move earlier this year, still within the Kansas City area, just from a different part of the metro, to another area. And we had been struggling to sell our old house because we're in a spot where we didn't need to sell the old house in order to buy this house. And so we went ahead and moved, and like bought the house and moved this in here. And then once we were moved out of the old place, got it all cleaned up and everything, then we put it on the market. We've had some hiccups during that process. Well, we got an offer recently, so we're in the process of inspections, and they hopefully had the inspection, I believe yesterday, or they're having it today, one of the two. So hopefully that will get done and they'll be happy with it. They might ask us to do some things. I know, potentially with the roof and that kind of thing. But hopefully that will go well, and we'll get it sold, which will be exciting. Also, one of my friends had her baby that I'm doing some secret stitching for, so I can get that project done now that I know his birthday. And so hopefully I can get that done, and then get that finished and given to her, so then I can show it here on my channel. When you see it, I'll cover up his details so that you don't know any information about him. But then I can finally send that or show that to you guys on here. And then recently, my family and my parents came into town, because it was my dad's birthday. And so we all of us being my parents, my sister, brother-in-law, niece and nephew, and then my husband, we all went to the Royals game on Monday, which was a lot of fun. And it was great weather. Like there was a threat of rain, but the rain like seemed to go around the stadium because you could see the clouds on the other side of the stadium, like after they had passed by, but they never, like nothing ever came over us. We never got any rain. There might've been like a couple sprinkles, but nothing like that impacted the game at all. We won, which was great. Saw a couple home runs, which was awesome. And yeah, and it was just a lot of fun to be at the Royals game. And we were on the third base side close to the front, or like in the lower section, which was great. My parents are very kind and got us good seats. So that was a lot of fun to celebrate my dad's birthday and hang out with him for a little while. All right. So that's it for this video. I am definitely going to plug in my phone, because it's going to die before I finish the next video. And I will do a separate video for Camp Needle, for camp, because this video will be a feature-length film if I put them together. And so that'll be a separate video that's coming up next. And the next time you'll get a regular FlossTube update from me will probably be I'm going to try to do this about a month apart, so middle to end of September. I don't plan on stacking them like I did this time. So I haven't actually looked at my schedule to see what my weekends look like in September. It'll be after we get back from vacation for sure. It'll probably be that next weekend actually is probably when I'll film, because the weekend after that is my nephew's birthday. And so I will be unoccupied. I won't have enough time that day to film a video. So probably closer to the end of September, just with travel and other stuff that's going on, or late, middle, beginning of the end. All right, moving on. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that update, and I will see you next time. Until then, I hope your coffee is strong and your stitching is prolific. Bye!